Are you a burnt out overachiever buried in responsibilities? Do you miss laughing with your friends, just laughing from the gut? Do you feel like life's passing you by? If you've been wishing for some kind of a shift, you're in the right place. Welcome to 52 Weeks of Hope, the show where we take you off the hamster wheel by ditching the to-do list for the to-don't list. This is where you get to learn how to make that lonely ache vanish, learn self-compassion techniques, and to give yourself grace. I'm Lauren Abrams, and I get to help you feel that magic again since going through my own dark night of the soul, so you can learn from my experience and the mentors and experts I meet along the way. And today we're talking to author, PR guru, podcaster, and owner of 3 media companies, Lisa Buyer. Do you know about detachment? Did you know there are lots of areas you can detach from? Work, toxic relationships, even digital devices. You get to learn how to create space and balance in your life right now and still be successful, make money, and own your life and time. Author of Digital Detox and so much more than that. Welcome to 52 Weeks of Hope, Lisa.
Thank you so much. Hey, Lauren, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited that we get to do this. Okay, so you took a year off podcasting and a lot else, reassess, reinvent, and you compared it actually to Madonna, which was interesting. And that she has to do the same to keep herself current. It's also for mental health and just, I'm so big on the pause, taking a breath and researching you. I love that you're coming on now after you've done that. So do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Definitely. Yeah. And actually, it's still a process. So I don't really feel like I'm through it. And I was thinking about this morning, like just kind of thinking about us chatting and, the theme of your podcast. And I think like the buzzword maybe 5 years ago was like, or it's been, the pivot, like you're going to pivot. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And I think that pause is maybe the new pivot. But I think if you're going to switch gears, pivot, whatever you're going to call it, you have to really take a step back and pause. And a lot of people think like, oh, I'm going to take the weekend to pause, or I'm going to take a vacation to pause, or I'm going to pause in between XYZ. And what I've realized was like 2 years ago that I first started this journey of pausing and taking a step back and really like kind of quitting everything before the Great Resignation became the Great Resignation buzzword. Just, after the pandemic, it was about a year after, and so many major life events besides the pandemic had happened in my life. And I'd been doing the same awesome thing for 20 years. I love public relations and, built up a great reputation of being an innovator in being an innovator in tech and PR, writing a couple books, teaching at a university, all these great boxes checked off, and having really one of the most successful years of my agency career, the year that I was just so overwhelmed and so frazzled and so really, unhappy that I didn't have time to even think. And there's a lot also happening in my personal life with my kids. They needed my support. And it was just, I don't know, the universe was kind of like telling me like I needed to just take a step back. Like, so I did. And so I just decided.
Wait, okay. I just want to pause I want to pause. Just stop you right there, because sometimes like for me, it takes a brick over my head. And sometimes I'm really in touch and I'm like, oh, the universe is talking to me, step back. So was it a brick over the head, or was it you really just noticed, oh, I need to slow down here?
It was becoming difficult to get through my days. My days were stacked with Zoom call after Zoom call. And I found myself, waking up at 4 or 5 in the morning to do everything personally that I needed to do to support my family, my daughter. And then I'd get right on the calls from like 9 to 5 and then right into dinner and whatever happens after 5. And it was just a little bit so overwhelming. And I used the term burning out. I was burning the candle at both ends. And I just had this like flash, like, I don't want to say that I wasn't suicidal, but I never really understood like suicidal, like what it felt like. I hadn't experienced that, but something, very minor, major, depending on your frame of mind. But I had one of my clients' websites go down, and I felt like, what if my team, we were responsible for it? So like, it was just like, you're so burned out that like the littlest things have such a big impact on you. And I was like, oh my God, this is the end of the world, that we're going to get blamed for it. And your mind keeps going. And that's when I realized, I'm like, Lisa, you have way too much going on to be feeling this extreme for something, for every problem, there's a solution type of thing. And it really ended up not having anything to do with us. But, you start not thinking clearly and start being really stressed out over the littlest things that are triggering you to have like maybe take, some extreme action that you wouldn't normally. So that was kind of my signal that I needed to really, I was fortunate enough I had money saved in my business. I was in a position where I could just stop everything because I could always recreate my business. I could always go get clients, but I could not replicate my family and replace, my kids. And they needed me at that time. So I gave 30 days notice to my clients. I gave 30 days notice to my team. I helped everybody find a good spot. And I just said, let me just take a step back and number one, focus on my kids and what they needed me for. And then while doing that, I wanted to take what I was doing and go instead of one-to-one with my clients and do done for you services to see what it would be like to create digital product. I'm being able to reach a wider audience with kind of my strategies and my kind of like method that I have developed over the years for different things, which includes digital detox along with PR and marketing. You have to have a very realistic mindset and balanced mindset to be in PR and marketing today. So combining my love and passion for yoga and life balance with my professional world was something I wanted to also look into.
Yeah. So you step back. And so what kind of tools did you do to get your mental health together? Because that's a lot. You see yourself.
It is. It's a lot. It's a lot.
It wasn't just your family, it's yourself.
Yeah.
You needed a breath.
I needed definitely a lot of breath. And what I did for the 30 days before everything, just kind of like I turned everything over.
So you took care of your clients, you took care of your employees, you took care of all that. Then what'd you do? Because
a couple
you
of
sound
phases.
like me. You're a worker. You work.
Yeah.
You're used to working. So that had to have been different.
It was. But I did go to a place called Canyon Ranch for about 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Where I just spent some solitude time, and you don't have to go to a canyon ranch. You could, create your own solitude time, at your home, or go visit go visit somebody where you're out of your space from everyday life. So I did that, and I did a lot of personal self-development work and I just kind of like let my mind go. And I didn't really have an agenda while I was there other than just to work on myself and learn about new things about personal growth and development that they had there. And I came back really, really refreshed. But that was, let's say, 2 weeks. So that's like 2 months after I took the step back and the pause. And I thought, whoa, I'm great. That was about 1.5 years ago. And, now just looking back, I see that it's taken a good 1.5 years to actually unravel from everything I had stacked over the years in my career and my business and, having teams of, 15 to 20 on my payroll. And, my inbox I'm still trying to get to the bottom of my inbox. Like I just can't get my inbox under control, even though I'm going through this pause phase. Like, it's just like, I'm thinking about just like dumping everything and just starting a new name.
No, I understand. My husband's always at inbox zero. I've never, maybe when I started, I'm right there with you. It's not even a goal of mine anymore. I'm just like, try to stay current. Like I scrolled through just to make sure we were good for today, looking for your name. That was a best.
I'm so glad to hear somebody else is doing the same thing, because I've tried, and I try to practice what I preach. I mean, I've done all types of content on productivity, and I believe in, if you can handle it. I don't know if, as an entrepreneur, if inbox zero is really that realistic. If you're moving from one company to another and you don't have to save all those emails for any reason whatsoever, then it's a lot easier.
Like I said, it's not even a goal of mine anymore. I just I tell people, text me. It's like the bane of my existence is email at this point. Like
exactly. Yeah, it's so true. And so I'm saying, like, it's been the pause that I've been doing, and, I haven't been like completely at a standstill for the past 1.5 years. I took the time to, help my daughter, and also, try different projects that I had been kind of like side passion projects, like my female disruptors and creating my digital courses and digital products and exploring affiliate marketing. And I never really had the time to do that. And also exploring over the past 1.5 years and researching Web3 and like, what's the next phase of the internet and how does that impact not only public relations and marketing, which is my professional background, but also how is that going to impact our mental health, and how is that going to impact our, balancing our life in a digital world versus life in 2D world.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, and then are there tools that you developed that you've been maintaining since then?
So a couple of things that I've been very consistent with. Well, I've been practicing yoga for 30 years, and I decided about 8 years ago to get my certification to be a yoga certified instructor. With that, I always knew that yoga is something that's going to help obviously physically. I didn't realize now in hindsight how much it's helped me as an entrepreneur keep things as balanced as possible. But one of the things I will say is like when I went through that period where I was like burning out, I couldn't, no matter how much yoga and meditation I did, that wasn't what I needed. Like it was more extreme. Like I needed to take that pause. But I've continued to do yoga and meditation. But when I was at Canyon Ranch, one thing that I discovered that I think is very powerful for me, at least, I hadn't really heard of it, is Qigong. So Qigong is more of energy work. I don't know if you've tried it. Have you tried it?
I had a Qigong master on and he did some with us. It's amazing. And it's
It
not
really
difficult.
is. It's not. And it really helps kind of just, align your energy. And whether you're doing it in the morning, which I like to do, like there's a 5-minute YouTube, I don't know who you had on, but Lee Holden is who I follow. And he has on YouTube, if you just Google him, he has like a 5 or 10-minute morning routine for Qigong. So that's been very helpful. And I've also been studying a lot. I just brought this book to share with you that it's called Project 369. So I actually bought like a box of them to give out as gifts this year, holiday gifts. But the 369 is, the power of vibration and numerology and writing things down 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the mid-afternoon, and then 9 times at night. And there's all the statistics about writing things down that if you don't know, like that's just writing down your goals, that you're going to make them happen. But I've been very fascinated by the power of the 369 and just the power of like numerology and frequency and vibration. So I listen to in the morning, or while I'm working, the frequency that's like the best frequency for productivity and positivity. And then at the end of my day, I use the frequency, like I'll just do like on YouTube, like Google, like sleep music, that frequency. And I really just think like all of these things make a difference. And it is using digital because we're using YouTube and we're using this technology that wasn't available to us. But like, how do we use technology to better ourselves without letting technology like suck us in, which can be, we need to take a pause on technology, but here's a way to use technology without it using us.
The Project 369 is great. And Litha J talked about it on one of the episodes. She's very big on that. And I found it fascinating too.
Yeah.
I love that. No, I love that. And also for me, journaling and meditation are the 2 best tools there are to get whatever to balance me is the best way.
Exactly. And to be honest, like, I'm practicing what I've been preaching more than ever and actually doing it where, yes, everyone can say, oh, journaling. It sounds like so obvious, but if you don't do it, it doesn't work.
Yeah, I know.
When you do it, it really is like magic. It just like takes all this clutter out of your head and removes it and organizes it, or just like, it just kind of like, it's like the black cloud in your head now becomes lighter inside your brain because of the journaling. It's very powerful. And I'm like, I don't have my notebook here, but I use old-fashioned notebook and I also use my calendar, but I use my notebook as more of like my to-do list. And it's a combination of personal, business, and every page is the day, and then I like move it to the next page and whatever I don't do. So I never got into journaling because I didn't want to carry around multiple notebooks. Like it's just a dumb idea to not do that, that's not a good reason to not journal. So I just was like, I'm just going to use the same notebook, and I would create a page and I'd be like, everything I'm happy with today. And then I'd list it out. And then the next page, everything that's annoying me today. And then people in my life I'm most happy with on a scale of 1 to 10. It was like, and I made it like kind of like I gamified it to like how I do my business. And that's how I did my journaling. So it worked for me. And then it's kind of interesting to look back like a year ago, like who was annoying to me a year ago and who I was grateful to have in my life. And
I've always, that's great. I love that. And you can look back.
Yeah. Hopefully nobody finds it that I didn't give them a good rating.
My friends know I die, burn all that. You come in, you clear out that stuff. And I went to Miraval a long, long time ago when I had just near where you went. And I learned about a lot of different of these tools and techniques. And I did this thing like, close your eyes. Who fills you with joy? And it was such a happy thing. And I've always thought about who, and sending good vibes to different, they did a meditation, thoughts to yourself, and then to people who you love, and then somebody you don't know, but you see every day. At my office was in the same place forever. I work from home now, and this guy I always saw making pizza when I'd walk to the bank, that definitely a while ago, but I felt such a connection to him because I had sent him these good vibes from Arizona anyway. And I'd always smile and wave to him because I had sent him all this good energy and everything. But thinking of who fills me with joy really makes a difference because those are the people I always wanted to surround myself with.
It
And so I
really
like your
does.
making this list.
Yeah. And it also makes you realize, like, okay, who are you giving your energy to, the most energy? And what I realized when I was doing those lists, and I've done it a couple times over the past year, but you realize like the people sometimes that you're giving away your energy to are the people that are really having a negative impact on you. And they're not your favorite people for whatever reasons. And so it just shows you that, focusing on the people that are bringing you positive energy and gratitude and joy are, much more efficient for your own personal mental health than to have your energy being robbed by somebody that is just causing you, for whatever reason, toxicity and negativity and problems. And you can't always eliminate people. I'm not saying to do that because some people might be your family or this, that you can't just say like, oh, they're cross them out of my life. But be aware that you really focus on the people that are bringing you the most joy and that you can bring joy to and appreciate your energy. And that's another thing I've learned is that all this energy that you're trying to give, for example, maybe a family member that needs your help and they don't really see it as you're helping them and you're just trying to help them, but you're giving out all this energy and they really aren't taking it. So you got to move on and let go.
Yeah, definitely. And I interviewed somebody who is a yoga teacher, big yoga teacher, started off in the financial world and hit her mental health break and ended up anyway. And she would surround herself by pink light, which is interesting. I'm like, whatever color works for you. I always think white light.
Exactly.
And she surrounded herself by pink light for those few times when you're with those people that are kind of energy suckers, suck the life out of you, like just surround yourself from people who don't light you up. It's probably a better way to say it. So for somebody who is burning out and they're not aligned with who and what they really want to do, but maybe it all looks so good from the outside and you would never know, what would you tell them?
Before I really started burning out, one thing I was very, very good at, and I think that this is something that is almost something not to brag about, but people say like, oh, I'm a great multitasker. And like really multitasking is the worst you can do. I was excellent at compartmentalizing. So I was able to just kind of like go from one thing to another. But it was so extreme that I was never giving my brain space to recover from each thing that I was jumping from one to the other. And so I almost named my book, Digital Detox Secrets, I almost named it Creating Space. Because I think that that's like the most important thing that we can do for ourselves is to not overschedule ourselves, whether it's, going from work to personal commitments, even getting married and having kids and like the whole process of that. It's a lot. Like if you look back, like, you have kids, we were talking about that before, life kind of goes from like college to 20 something to marriage to kids. And that's kind of been like the life routine. And then all of a sudden your kids are graduating from high school. And then all of a sudden now you have this space, you hear about that too, like the empty nester space. But I just think that whatever the cycles of your life are, whether you're having kids or that, like giving yourself space in between all of these like life events and commitments. And, sometimes vacations aren't really vacations. They're just like running around, like trying to see as much as possible. So, maybe a vacation isn't this planned big itinerary. Maybe it's just like you're taking a week off of work at your house by yourself in solitude with you and your life partner or just you by yourself. Or I think that that's a little bit becoming more of a trend is these retreats that you can go on, whether it's a group retreat or your own retreat, but take the time, like take that space on the weekends or during the week for yourself 100%. And it doesn't have to be 100% isolation, but I just believe that that solitude in that space is something I wish I was better at because I think I could have prevented the extreme burned out that I became, but maybe not. But I do think that when you're multitasking and you're able to compartmentalize, that can be a really good thing, but then it can also be something that could backfire.
Yeah, it's important. It's such an interesting, I had never even thought about it, like going from one thing to the next and taking a 5-minute. In fact, I keep talking about it on this podcast. I'm going to start putting 5-minute reboot meditations on YouTube because just taking 5 minutes, they're energizing. It's an amazing thing what a 5-minute meditation will do. Even a standing meditation, because I sit
Yeah,
all day. I sit like this in front of a screen all day. So it's amazing what they can do.
I want to share another example of that. So I had a couple of events for my Female Disruptors brand, and one of my speakers, she had such a great tip, and she called it the bath commute. And she's a single mom, and she would, leave work, and before going to pick up her kids from school, she'd allow an hour, and she'd go home and take a bath and put her headphones on before picking up her kids from work and just going straight into like work to kids. And so I just love that term, the bath commute, because I started taking baths during the day, like at lunch, when I'm working from home, or if I'm, at a conference, at a hotel, I'll just like take that, in between whatever, like just take a bath and just like put your headphones on and just regroup. And it just is completely refreshing and like, just gives you that time to recharge.
Yeah, I was a single mom with my 2 kids. I can't even fathom such a thing. It was
right. I know it almost
maybe
seems
she
like
wasn't in LA traffic. I don't know. I just like,
yeah, no, right. Yeah.
Oh
It
my
seems
God.
like almost like you feel guilty to do that. But, when you can do it, I think that it's super helpful.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I would just it took a brick over my head to be like, but it got me to take quarterly 4-day weekend to recharge. That's what I ended up doing. Just getting people to watch the kids. It took a village, but I learned I needed to recharge. And
Yes.
that's how I would do it. That was my bath, I guess.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
And that's how I would do it because I had to do that. And that's what I would need. So what's the hardest challenge that you've gone through and how did you get through it?
So I think right now the challenge is it's not as easy. Like for me, like I was doing basically, living in the PR tech agency world for 20 years. And I still have a big network and I'm a networker. I'm a connector, kind of like our friend Joe. He's a connector too. Yeah. And I think the biggest challenge is just, I don't want to continue doing the same thing. And I've been trying Female Disruptors and I'm, still working on that. I'm working on my digital courses. And I think it's just challenging, just completely changing, like how somebody would change jobs, like really changing types of businesses that you're doing. You have to rewire your brain. And it's a good challenge. Like I really love it. And I love podcasting. I love talking to people, whether I'm a guest or a host. So that part I love that I can do regardless of my business. And that's kind of how we met is through the podcast mastermind or a master group that we are part of. And yeah, I feel like that's my one consistent is the podcasting can apply to whatever business I'm doing. But it's that transition of like doing the service oriented business versus the digital types of products and training and things like that. And, just different systems, but it's fun. It's just a reinvention. Speaking of your 4-day week, also one of the things that no matter what business I'm doing right now, my week looks like this. Mondays and Fridays, this is an exception. We're on a Monday right now, but I typically don't do any Zoom calls, anything, I reserve my Mondays and Fridays to do like deep creative planning work. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are my on days where I'm like Zoom calls, planning calls, recording, interviewing, things like that. So that has made my life a lot easier knowing that I have that buffer where I'm not trying to fit in, I have to work on this article, I have to research this. Plus AI has helped us so much, right?
Oh yeah, totally. Yes. Completely. For the last, definitely.
Artificial intelligence has really helped me have like a little bit of a new lease on PR and marketing where possibly I would, now go back to doing consulting and doing, lightly with that because it's just so much that you have to kind of spin, in different plates, like juggle when it comes to PR and marketing. That AI has made things a little bit more easier in some ways.
Oh, yeah. Lots of ways.
Yeah.
It helps plenty. Do you have a message I hope you want to get?
I do. So one of the things I've looked at and researched and really realized from this 369 project is how you say I am versus I will. Uh-huh. And the power of I am versus I will is just incredible. So that's my, kind of like hope message is, when you're talking to yourself and, journaling and using that I am versus I will, the I am is going to get you, from your mind to reality versus letting what's around you dictate what's happening to you. So that has given me a lot of hope that we're our own creator, and we a lot of times get caught up in like everything around us is having an impact on our creation, our own, like who we're going to be, who we are, I am. So that I think gives everybody that power that they feel like either they don't have, or they give away the power to the outside, world that's influencing us, when really we have more power than we know we have.
Yeah. And say it out loud. I am. And then
I
fill in the
am.
blank with everything great about you.
Yeah,
Because you
exactly.
are.
Exactly. And,
Yeah.
it also could have the opposite effect if you're saying I am, anything negative,
Yeah.
anything like I am, not worth it, and I am, not qualified. So that's really
Or
going to
I
have.
am too busy. I am
Mhm.
busy. No, there's plenty of space. It doesn't have to be a badge. Can you imagine? I used to say, "How are you?" Busy, busy. Everyone would say, "No one's as busy as Laura," because anyway, it doesn't matter. It's not a badge. How about if you said, "How are you?" Great. I've created all this space in my life, and I can breathe. I can get on the floor and play with my kids or whoever. I can
Exactly.
get together with my friends. I'm fascinated by how adults create friendships. I'm just fascinated by this. I've been doing all this studying. It's my lawyer brain. I don't know what it is, but I am just fascinated by it. And as long as we are our authentic selves, it happens. And it's just so interesting because we bring all of our past along with it, and it's just fun. So like, I love this. I love that you're reading Project 369 and all the vibrational frequencies. And as long as we stay in gravity. Yeah, go
One
ahead.
of the other things I've realized over the summer, I had a little bit of like a health scare. I'm for the most part, everything's fine, but over the summer, I didn't know what was happening. So I stopped drinking alcohol just to eliminate like that, and my husband and I, we both would have like wine at the end of the day, and, on the weekends, happy hours with friends. And, to me, it just was like fun, like social experience. So I stopped drinking for 2 weeks, and then we went to Greece, and I stopped. I was very moderate, like even though we were on vacation, because I really didn't know what was going on with my health. And I just was trying to eliminate anything that would be like negative that I have the control of putting in my body. Anyway, long story short, now since I've been experimenting 2 weeks off, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, I realized like how much clearer like your mind is without drinking and putting any alcohol in your body. And then I've been researching the impact of the negative impact. Like alcohol is basically poison that we put in our body. Like I'm not against alcohol. I still have drinks or whatever, but I'm much more conscious and aware of the negative impact that it can have your mood and sleep and your overall gut and your brain and like all your liver. Like I just never really paid attention to it. I mean, it's just so I've just had that
You
kind of
live
like
on the water
aha.
in Florida. I think it's part of your lifestyle.
It is. It is. It's like every day is happy hour, no matter what hour. It's so
Yeah.
fun. But at the same time, I've just realized like, just kind of dialing it back and finding alternatives to that social experience. So, whether it's like,
You'll probably
drink.
attract all new people. You're going to
Yeah.
attract people that vibrate at a higher
Yeah. Yeah.
frequency now.
Yeah, drinks that are, instead of alcohol, like, have THC in it for the social experience. And there's now drinks that have like the microdosing of the mushrooms in it and things like that. And they're all like, just very low level type of things, but it's just they're healthier. I'm looking more at healthier alternatives to alcohol. And I'm not saying that I've eliminated alcohol, but I'm just more aware of like what it does to my brain, my motivation, my goals, my outcomes, my sleep versus, before. So I'm way more aware of that. And, up until I'd say 6 months ago, that was not really on my radar at all.
Oh, that's so interesting. And I just had a question also with PR, because how we present ourselves is PR. And I just think that's really interesting, online or in person. How have you seen that change? Have you seen a big change in that?
I mean, overall, like personal branding, you mean with myself or just in general, like advice that I give?
Either.
Yeah. So, I mean, with myself, that's kind of been one thing is that, making sure, and whether it's me or anybody listening, that you want to make sure that you're, paying attention to your personal brand and how you're perceived, and being active on things like LinkedIn and, professional social media networks, and then in-person events, the same thing. So, if we're talking about drinking, like, from a PR perspective, like, maybe just have one glass of wine, or, have one glass of club soda, and, you have that social drink with you, but it doesn't always have to be alcohol, because I mean, it's a way that is social, but then sometimes it can get sloppy. So, making sure that you're having that balance of not being, the one that is, not able to get out of bed the next day at the conference.
Yeah.
um, but I mean, at the same time, it's also very social. So it's a balance. But I really have been studying social media, the blend of social media and search marketing with public relations. And, from a personal standpoint, I will say that it's important that, you're aware and you're optimizing your social media and your, any articles that you might be publishing or might be, maybe you have a quote in, a media mention in. Those are all going to be found in search when somebody's searching, let's say Lauren Abrams. If they're searching you, you want to be, all the positive stuff to come up, which is going to be your social media channels, your social media posts, your podcasts, optimizing your podcasts so that you have this personal brand that has this positive impression. Because one negative thing, one negative review or one bad picture posted that you're tagged in, or, that's going to end up like, if you don't have all these positive things, like, ahead of time, that one negative thing, because you really weren't paying attention to any of the positive and doing any of the proactive things, that's going to show up when somebody's searching your name on Google or, possibly on Facebook or, so just, you want to be aware that, you're being proactive with your personal brand. And that doesn't matter whether you're an entrepreneur or a business professional, but especially, I'm going to say especially females, because we need all the help that we can get to get our fair share of the spotlight in media coverage. So do as much as you can yourself proactively, because unfortunately the statistics are still that men get picked over women when it comes to media interviews because men are considered more authoritative. And that's the sad but true fact.
No, those are very good tips. So I appreciate this. Oh, thank you so much for being a guest today on 52 Weeks of Hope. We will have links to everything of Lisa's programs or books, everything. And you want to get on her email list. She has so many fabulous offers. You definitely want to get that.
I'd love to give everybody that's listening, and you can hopefully put it in the show notes. I'll send you the link.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I will.
Yeah, give everybody a free PDF version of my book, Digital Detox Secrets. You can get the free version here on the podcast show notes, or you can buy it on Amazon for $20. So I don't know. Get it for free.
Yeah, it'll be here. It'll also be on the website. So I'll have links to everything on the website and the show notes and here. So yeah, this was so great, Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lauren, and namaste, everybody. If anybody wants to connect with me, just, connect with me through LinkedIn.